Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. It's Monday. I hope everyone had a great weekend. It's been really great here where I live. The weather's been really awesome. So hopefully you guys had great weather and you had a great weekend as well. This is a video that I have wanted to make for a while, but I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna go about it. And then, the clouds parted and a lovely racist situation just fell into my lap that I could frame my video around. So this video is going to be about the symbiotic relationship between black men and white women. Before I start, I want to give out a PSA, a public service announcement. I don't have any problems with interracial relationships. I'm not against them. I've dated white men in the past, even though I am married to a black guy now. My husband's black. I definitely do think that two people of a different race, and this is not just white and black, this is, Hispanic and Asian and, Filipino and white and, whatever. I do think definitely that two people of a different race can fall in love and be happy. I am not talking about that. So please don't get up in arms talking about, oh, I hate you or I hate your relationship or whatever, because I don't. I'm specifically talking about a certain type of relationship between black men and white women, specifically. If you're in a healthy, loving, respectful relationship and you and your partner of a different race, go you, great, wonderful. If I'm not talking to you, don't be offended. If it seems like I am talking to you, hit Dogg's holler. You might want to listen up. So as I'm sure you guys have all heard, last week the internet went kind of nuts. It seemed really overblown, but with this rap beef between Snoop, who's a rapper, and Ugly Azalea, who pretends to be a rapper sometimes. And what happened was Snoop put up a meme basically calling her ugly. He put up a meme of an albino woman and a black albino woman, and the tag said Ugly Azalea with no makeup. It didn't say ugly, it said her actual name, but y'all know I don't say her name. I wouldn't say Voldemort, I don't say her name. Her name is taboo around here. But yeah, so he put up a meme saying Ugly Azalea without makeup, and it was this meme of this black albino woman. Snoop has 3 million followers on Instagram, and literally all he does all day is post memes and crack jokes with his followers and with his fans. That's all he does all day. Ugly Azalea took it personal. For all of her, first things first, I'm the realist and I'm from the trap and I'm this and I'm that. This bitch whines over every little thing anybody says to her. She fucking whines and cries and stomps her feet like a big old crybaby until she gets her way. Typical white privilege at work. She took to Twitter and ranted about why the fuck would you do that, and that's so mean and that's disrespectful and you should apologize to me. You wouldn't call me ugly, but you have your people begging me for a picture. Clearly this bitch doesn't know who Snoop is. Cause Snoop don't give a fuck. He is the head of the Not Many Fucks Given coalition. So Snoop being Snoop, he clapped back. He put on not Twitter. He put on Instagram man, bitch, fuck you. I didn't ask your dumbass for a picture. Actually, it was the other way around. Memory has flip flopped. You was the one begging me for a picture, which makes sense, right? Because Ugly Azalea claims that her number one all time, idol and inspiration is Tupac, right? And Snoop and Tupac were homies. Snoop is a legend in the game. Snoop is, he was part of the original rap beef, gangsta beef, fucking East Coast versus West Coast, which led to the deaths of Tupac and Biggie, famous rappers, probably some of the best ever in the game. And Snoop is up there as well. Snoop has dropped classics, the Dogg Father, R&G, Rhythm and Gangsta. He has hits. Snoop Doggy Dogg. Classics. Snoop's a legend. So it doesn't even make sense for him to be begging Ugly Azalea for pictures, it does make sense for her to want a picture from him because that's probably as close as she's ever going to get to her idol, Tupac. So he clapped back like, bitch, fuck you. Wasn't nobody begging you for no picture. Like, don't front on Instagram for, like, your little followers. Like, I don't give a fuck. So they got into this back and forth. And the media ran to blow it up. The media had these, like, crazy blaring headlines. Snoop Dogg viciously attacks, rapper Ugly Azalea. Is this racism? Is he attacking her because she's white? Is he jealous? Is he trying to get, relevant again? Like, yo, Snoop doesn't need to attack Ugly Azalea for any type of relevance. Like, as I just said, like, he's a legend. Like, maybe white people are getting on the rap train late because their kind just started infiltrating it, but Snoop doesn't need to attack anybody to get any kind of relevance. Like, he's always going to be, like, one of those names, like Snoop, Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Eminem, who is white. Like, these are names that are always going to have a certain amount of prestige in the rap world, in the hip-hop world, and in the music world. So the media, like, ran to take this girl's side. She's on Twitter crying her white tears, flexing her white privilege, exercising it to the full benefit of the doubt. And the media, to me, kind of took on this persona reminiscent of, like, a lynch mob, right? Like, oh, Snoop viciously attacked her. This poor white woman is being, like, viciously attacked by this, like, savage, like, black man, and he needs to apologize to her. He needs to do this. I'm like, whoa, they're gonna be calling for Snoop to get lynched next? Like, this seems like really overblown the way the media is reporting on it. Like, oh, it's a feud, it's a beef, rap beef. Like, it turned into this big thing with people calling for Snoop to apologize. And Snoop was like, no. He put a screen cap up of one of the articles that ran, talk about rap beef, poor white princess. It didn't say this, but poor white princess viciously attacked by black savage animal. It said how she was viciously attacked. He put a screen cap up with the caption like, ha 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 ha, like, I wish a bitch would. Like, to Snoop, it was all fun and games and jokes. Ugly Azalea is the one that fucking got on her feelings, hypersensitive, because all this bitch does is complain. She complained about Australian Maxim using a picture of her that she didn't like. She complained about Snoop. She complained about people talking to her crazy on Twitter. She complained about why can't she say the word nigga. All this bitch does is fucking whine and complain like the spoiled white princess that she is. Anyways, Snoop thought it was funny. He thought it was a joke. He put ha ha ha, like, I don't give a fuck. I wish a bitch would. Next thing you know, a couple days later, he puts up a video apologizing. He has, like, this fake ass, like, smirk on his face throughout the whole apology. And basically what Snoop says in the video is, oh, T.I. called me. T.I. is her, I want to say her manager. And I believe that she's also signed to his Grand Hustle imprint. Like, she has a main label, but she's also signed to Grand Hustle. Like an umbrella type of thing. Basically Snoop says, like, oh, T.I. called me and said, could I, like, lay off, like, his white queen, and since we're old friends, we're homies, we go back, and I know T.I. is, like, a real nigga, like, whatever, like, I apologize. But he said it kind of like, just like that, like, I apologize. Like, basically, he pulled her card, like, you sensitive. Like, you rap all this shit about I'm the realest, I'm hard, I'm tough, I'm this, I'm that. I did this in Miami, I did that in Houston. But you can't even take a joke, right? Like, you can't even fucking deal with, like, memes getting put up. Like, we niggas, we rappers, like, this is how we play. Like, we roast each other. Like, we not friends if I'm not going on you and you not going on me. And that would have probably been the perfect opportunity for her to show that, she does have a sense of humor. Like, she can take a hit. She does have a thick skin. She does belong in the rap world. Because it's social media, right? Like, he put up a picture of her. She could have put a picture up of him. There's so many memes of Snoop floating around. Like, Snoop side by side with a dog. Like, they could have gotten into, like, a cute little, like, prank war, like, and people will probably respect her more, especially since she talks all this shit about being the realist and being this and being that. But she didn't. She whined and cried like a little crybaby. She stamped her foot and she ran to T.I. and said, "Oh, he's being mean to me. Take care of it. Oh, white tears, white tears." And T.I., being the fucking new nigga that he is, he called up Snoop. "You need to lay off my white queen. Like, that's my precious white woman. You know you can't do that. We could talk about black women all day, but you cross the line when you talk about that lily white skin." Which leads me to the point of my video. The symbiotic relationship between black men and white women. This is a relationship that has a lot of historical context. Going back to the days of slavery, when, a lot of white women, and this is something we don't really learn about, but you can Google it, you can learn about it. A lot of white women, sexually assaulted black men, they accosted them, they raped them, they kept them around as like manservants, and basically your black slave was like the equivalent of a big ass guard dog that you could like fuck, right? Like this, they have a peculiar relationship, okay? White women treat black men as an animalistic protector, like I said, like a pet dog. He can protect them. He offers them some type of shield. And this has also been shown in a lot of interviews between, black men and white women in interracial relationships, when a lot of them are questioned as to, what was the initial attraction. A lot of white women, say, he made me feel safe. He made me feel like he could protect me, which is an interesting thing to say because it bears the question, so does that mean that you feel like your white counterparts can't protect you, can't keep you safe, your white fathers, your white brothers, your white sons, that you turn to, a black man? Or is it that they can keep you safe, but not in the same way because they're not seen as animals, right? They're not seen as animalistic. There's a certain savagery to having an animal as a pet, right? Like, people get pit bulls as pets. I mean, I know that a lot of people feel like, pit bulls are wonderful. I don't know much about them, but I'm going to say, like, a lot of people, drug dealers and stuff like that, they get pit bulls as pets and they train them to be vicious and they can attack on behalf of them. They're the guard dog. And it's, and it's not the same thing as having a boyfriend in the house with a baseball bat. It's just not quite the same as knowing you have a pit bull that if somebody breaks into your house, the pit bull's going to attack. And it's kind of the same thing. A lot of white women look at black men as these animalistic protectors, that have these savage instincts that will kind of jump into the fray and protect them when they need it, right? And then, in addition to that, you have this hypersexualized idea of, the black virile mandingo, he can like fuck your brains out, like, with his Timbs and his gold chain and his shades and his do-rag. Like, if you look at, like, interracial porn, not saying you do, but, like, if you Google it, you'll see that, like, a lot of that stuff plays into, like, these, like, hyped up stereotypes of, like, the mandingo. You have, like, the white woman in the house or something like that, and then, like, the black guy comes and he's, like, the handyman or, the electrician, and he literally will have on a do-rag and like shades and gold chains and Timbs, and he'll like violently like fuck this like white chick. And that's like a form of fetishization, right? You have this like fetish, hypermasculinity, hypersexuality, like a big black buck, right? Like a horse, right? Like an animal, And especially, with darker skin, with brown skin, a lot of times that is equated with masculinity. Black men are seen as hyper masculine, hypersexual, virile, savage animals, right? So, when you are a white woman like Ugly Azalea and you have a black man in your pocket like T.I., that's like your guard dog that you can sick on anyone that's attacking you, that you can sick on anyone that's hurting your feelings. And like I said, this falls in line with the context of 400 years of history of these symbiotic relationships between black men and white women. And then you say, oh, well, like, why would the black man want to be a part of that? Like, what does he get out of it? Well, it's a two-way street, right? It's like white women get this animal that can protect them and also offer them, a walk on the wild side. And black men, in return, they get an ego boost, right? They treat white women as something pure, something fragile, something innocent, something that needs to be protected, something worthy of protection. You know, historically, under the white gaze, white skin has meant hyper feminine, innocent, of course, superior, privileged, and black men also often, not also, black men often suffer from a colonized mindset of thinking that makes him want to have what his colonizer has. He wants to eat his food, he wants to sleep in his bed, he wants to fuck his daughter. And when you're in that frame of mind, a white woman is an ultimate status symbol. And this also translates even into colorism within the black community, where even if you're not dating a white woman, you might want a light-skinned girl. You want a light-skinned girl with light eyes and good hair, right? You're still in that same, mindset where light is right, black get back, right? White women and light-skinned women are seen as the ultimate status symbol. And I actually read a quote recently that really encapsulated this. It's by Frantz Fanon, who's written a number of books on being black in a white society. And I'm going to read it to you. By loving me, a white woman proves that I am worthy of white love. I am loved like a white man. I am a white man. This is from his book, Black Skin, White Mask, which was published in 1952. Basically, what he's saying is, black men get into these relationships with these white women, and, to a certain extent, light-skinned black women, Hispanic women, Middle Eastern women, anything but, a black woman, because it makes them feel superior. It's an ego boost. It makes them feel as if they're sitting at their colonizer's table, as if they're one of them. They're not one of us anymore. They're not a lowly black person anymore. They're not a slave anymore. They're better, right? This is kind of buying into the idea of white privilege and white superiority as something to aspire to. You want to elevate. As Pharrell, the New Blackians disciple said, we've transcended race. They want to transcend these black men. They want to transcend being black. And what's the easiest way to do that? Get with a white woman. Get with a non-black woman. Get with someone that they feel makes them better. And also, at the same time, here's someone that is worthy of protection. And T.I. is a classic example of this, because T.I. is married to a black woman, Tiny. I want to say they're estranged. They were estranged. They apparently were on the road to getting a divorce. Maybe they're getting it back together. I don't know. But he's married to a black woman, Tiny. And people drag Tiny all day on the internet. They call her ugly all day. They've been calling her ugly for years and years and years. And T.I. has never, ever publicly stepped forward to defend her in the same way that he's done for ugly Azalea on numerous occasions when people talk smack about her. Never. And here's someone that he's married to, his wife. They have children together. She's the stepmother to his other children. She's raising them. They've been together for years. I want to say at least 10 years. And he's never publicly came forward to address people that call her ugly, because all people do is sit on the internet all day and call her ugly and call her Miss Piggy and this and that. But when his white woman, his protege, gets called ugly, now you've crossed the line, He's also gotten into a beef with another black rapper by the name of Azalea Banks, and she went on Twitter last week after this whole situation happened and said, where was the white media when T.I. was threatening to push me down the stairs, Where was all this public outrage when he was calling me ugly? Because that was what he said to her on Twitter. He called her ugly, dark-skinned, black, nappy-headed, edgeless, bad weave, all types of ethnic, racial slurs and remarks about her being ugly in relation to her blackness, And she said, it was all cool when he's talking smack to me, a black woman, but let a white woman get involved, and now all of a sudden we're all, freaking out and tripping, and Snoop needs to make this apology and this and that. And that brings me to a third point that I want to make. And that's that black women, in contrast to white women, are not seen as a prize. We're not seen as pure. We're not seen as innocent. We're not seen as worthy of protecting, right? And there's all these stereotypes floating around. The strong, independent black woman, she's self-sufficient. She don't need no man. She don't need this. She don't need that. She can take care of herself. And this is also another holdover from slavery, which is, where black women were worked as hard as the black men. There's that famous quote, I'm not seen as black because black means black men, and I'm not seen as a woman because woman means white women. You know, black women kind of fall into this weird ambiguous gray area. During slavery times, we were worked just as hard as men. We were expected to do just as much as men. You know, and even now in this present day in society, most black families are, you know, matriarchy, like driven. A lot of times you have a big mama, like a grandmother, a mother, aunt. You know, there's a very strong, you know, sense that women run the households. And a lot of people feel like that means that black women don't need to be protected. We don't need to be taken care of. Again, we're not innocent. We're not pure. We're not fragile. We're also hypersexualized. And darker skin also still equals more, you know, masculine. So if you're a darker skinned woman like Azalea Banks, people feel like, oh, well, you should be able to hold your own. You should be able to, you know, dish it. If you could dish it out, you could take it, you know. Black women are basically seen damn near as men almost, you know, like we're not seen as something that's feminine, fragile, you know, and needing to be protected. So a lot of times black men don't feel the urgency to protect us that they might feel to protect a white woman, a Hispanic woman, an Arab woman. You know, people cape for Kim Kardashian, like, oh, you guys are so mean, you're so mean, blah, 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 blah. But they run to, like, rip apart Amber Rose. And Amber Rose is biracial, but her mom is black. Her mom is, you know, Cape Verdean. And her dad is white, and she identifies as black, unlike someone like Kim Kardashian, who pretty much identifies as a white woman. And they're in the same boat as far as, you know, sordid pasts, but people run to protect Kim and want to tear down Amber. And these are all holdovers of slavery. These are all, you know, evidence of racism in our society and the way that it's even infiltrated into our own black communities, and especially with black men and white women in these symbiotic relationships where a black man is seen as, you know, an animalistic bear, you know, protector, and a white woman is seen as something innocent and pure and fragile, worthy of protection. And then you throw in the mainstream media, which kind of, you know, took the place of like a modern day lynch mob, and they made Snoop apologize, which I don't really feel was right. I don't think it was that serious. I'm tired of fucking ugly crying over everything. When Nicki came for her and called her a fake and a fraud, you know, she fucking cried, locked herself in the bathroom and cried. Nick Young is giving interviews to GQ talking about, I'm the one that has to deal with the fallout from these people hating on her because she's racist. Nigga, if you don't sit your black ass down, like, you are not her pet dog, right? She the realest, right? She can handle herself. But since she's white, she's this precious, delicate flower that needs to be protected. And this is stuff that's hard to understand. You know, you kind of have to come to terms with it and really educate yourself to decolonize your mind, because this is stuff that's internalized from the time that we're small, from the time that we're little kids, really, in the black community. So I'm going to have some links that I want you guys all to read because they're really, really great. There's an especially good one that if you don't read any of the rest, please read this one. I'm going to put it first. It's about the semiotics of race. It's called Semiotics of Race, A Walk on the Wild Side. And it gives a really great example of what I'm talking about, where the author was talking about when she was in college studying an advertisement that for perfume that had a white woman in bed with a black man. He's only shown from the back. He's like back, it's like muscles and like sinewy and blah blah blah. And the bottom said like take a walk on the wild side with like Strange perfume, whatever. So please read it. It's interesting stuff, and you know, as always, it's food for thought. All we can do is work to decolonize ourselves and to educate ourselves. You know, because internalization is real and it affects all of us. I feel like I always say that, but it's so true. You know, I saw a post on Tumblr the other day that said that like white people aren't the problem, racism is, and I'm like, racism is inside all of us. We internalize it from the time that we're so small because we live in a racist society. So white people are the problem. Unless they're actively working to end white supremacy and revamp the system and, you know, deal with the holdovers of slavery, they are the problem. And black people too. Unless we're actively working to decolonize and to move forward, you know, not fucking feeling like white people are better than us, and especially like white women are like some type of trophy that needs to be fucking held up over all things, we're a part of the problem too. So, you know, free your mind. Free your mind. Which one was it? The blue pill? Take the blue pill. Or if I have it wrong, take the red pill. Free your mind. Unplug. So thanks for watching. New week. New videos. I will be making another one. I already know what it's going to be about. PSA, you can't say nigga. So if you guys want to see that one, tune back. Probably Wednesday. It'll be up. All right. Have a great week, guys. Peace.